Imagine pouring your heart into planning a milestone birthday, decorating a quiet rooftop lounge with old family photos, praying your distant loved ones will show up to prove you still matter. You wait, heart pounding. Hours crawl by. Not a single soul arrives. That was my 30th birthday, a night that tore my world apart and exposed a betrayal so raw it redefined family forever. Hold tight, because this isn't just about an empty party. It's a soul-shaking wake-up call that burned my past to ashes. Before we dive in, if you've ever faced betrayal from those you trusted most, make sure to subscribe. You're not alone. And here, we share stories of survival, strength, and second chances. My name is Dolores, and I live alone in Portland, Oregon. This year, I chose to celebrate my 30th birthday, not for the fanfare, but to see if my fractured family could still piece me into their lives. I booked a rooftop lounge with a view of the city lights, draped it in fairy lights, and hung faded Polaroids from our childhood summers. Invitations went out to my mother, stepfather Victor, and my half-siblings Lila and Owen. They all RSVP'd, yes. I ordered a salted caramel cake, wrote heartfelt notes of gratitude, and took a seat by the lounge's edge at 6 p.m., the skyline glowing behind me. That glow felt alive, until it didn't. By 7 p.m., my phone was dead silent. No texts, no calls. I sipped tonic water, dodging the sidelong glances of waitstaff. The server, picking up on my unease, slid me a complimentary lavender cocktail and murmured, "Maybe they're caught in traffic." I forced a nod, grasping at that fragile hope, but by 8 p.m., my facade crumbled. No one was coming. I cut a slice of cake, snapped a fake smiling selfie for social media, and ate in solitude, not for taste, but to keep the cake from looking as discarded as my heart. By 9 p.m., I folded away my notes, tipped the staff, and descended to my quiet loft. The hum of the elevator outdid the thud of my heartbeat. That night, staring into the dark, it wasn't their absence that broke me. It was the naive hope I'd still carried. Days later, my phone pinged with a group text from my mother. "Victor's 50th is at Cascade Lodge. $1,500 per head, due by Thursday. Love you all." No whisper of my birthday, no trace of guilt, just a cold demand veiled as warmth. Lila replied instantly, "Sent it, Mom." Stoked. Owen echoed, "Paid." So pumped. I sat, breathless, not from rage, but from a stark, unshakable truth. I wired $1 with a biting note. "Congrats, Victor." Then I severed ties. Blocked my mother, Victor, Lila, Owen. I hired a locksmith to rekey my loft, not from fear, but because I knew my mother's game. Silence was her weapon, and she wielded it like a blade. 3 days later, an email alert froze my blood. An unauthorized attempt to access my savings account. The one I'd dipped into for Owen's grad school, Lila's startup loan, even a family vacation Victor insisted was for bonding. I locked the account, rerouted my funds, and reset every credential. Then the onslaught hit. Voicemails from unknown numbers, texts screaming, "Why shut us out? Why freeze the account?" I ignored them, but my mother wasn't finished. One stormy evening, my intercom buzzed. 2 police officers stood at my building's entrance, claiming my family reported me as a missing person, hinting I was unhinged. Missing? I showed them my freelance design portfolio, active client chats, proof I was thriving. They left, suggesting a protective order. My family wasn't worried. They were livid I'd slipped their grasp. Then they stormed my doorstep. My mother, Victor, Lila, fists hammering the door. "Dolores, stop this madness. You're fracturing our family." I stood tall, unwavering. "You only see me as a paycheck," I said. "I funneled $180,000 into your lives, your loans, your trips, your dreams, and you couldn't spare an hour for my birthday." Their silence screamed louder than words. I shut the door, steady and final. A week later, I uncovered their boldest move. They tried to tap a shared investment fund we'd set up for a family cabin years ago without my approval. I called my lawyer, froze the fund, and ordered an audit. The tally: $180,000, every dollar traced. I sent it to them with one line: repay it. All of it. They liquidated assets, the cabin fund, Victor's vintage motorcycle, even my mother's prized emerald ring, to settle the debt. $20,000, exactly as I demanded. They called me ruthless, heartless. But I wasn't. I was unbound. Months later, at a local arcade, I saw Victor. He looked gaunt, humbled. He asked to join me for a pinball game, swearing he sought no cash. I nodded. His ball sank straight to the bottom, and he laughed softly, saying he'd lost the knack for winning at anything. I said nothing. Words weren't needed. I was no longer the invisible daughter chasing love that never showed. I'd bolted that door, and the key was mine alone.